To give you a snapshot of what this series is going to be about design, we're looking at ourselves, and today we're speaking specifically to the fellas in the room. Next Sunday, we're going to talk to you ladies. I went out and bought 14 boxes of Kleenex for next Sunday because we're going to make you cry. But it'll be a good cry. It might be an ugly cry, but that's okay too. But today's is unapologetically about the guys. And so what we have to understand, and what I hope you understand, whether you're a believer, or maybe you get dragged here, or maybe somebody bribed you with lunch, or there's a cute girl or a cute guy that you're interested in, and that's why you came. We have a fundamental understanding here at GCC. We believe that we were created by intelligent design, that there is a God, and that He purposefully created each of us individually, and that He is our author, our finisher, our God, our creator. And so when you talk about something that is designed, the designer knows every in and out of that design. Think about anything from architecture to engineering to as simple as a kid with Legos. There is an idea that whoever is creating this thing knows how it's supposed to work. And so that's what we're going to be looking at over the next couple of weeks, seeing ourselves the way our designer sees us. And when you hear guys like that bear themselves like that, honestly saying some things that some of you maybe have never admitted out loud, there's a thing in you, maybe it does in me, maybe it rises up in you that's just kind of uncomfortable. Like, dude, just shut up. Don't talk about this. Like, I don't want to deal with those things. Because that's how we've been trained. We've been kind of taught that guys just don't do that, right? We deal with our stuff, and that's good. Like, we just don't need to put that stuff on other people. And we even justify it that way, right? We say, well, I don't feel like burdening somebody else with what I'm dealing with. And so we go about our life trying to do it on our own, with the reality there are some real, legitimate fears that each and every single one of us is carrying around. The biggest of those for most men, and I argue for every man, one of the biggest fears that we have is being found out. Being found out. And I don't mean just like somebody finds out that you actually secretly love Taylor Swift music, okay? Although I may have you just found that out about your pastor. But that's not just it. It's not just that stuff. It's not just the little secret things that you like. Maybe you actually do watch Dancing with the Stars and you practice it on your own. It's not that stuff that we're talking about. It's the deeper stuff. It's the darker stuff. It's even the more prideful stuff, like you just don't know what to do in every single situation. That you're afraid that somebody's going to find out that you're not as confident as you let on. That you're not as smart as somebody thinks that you are. That's a serious fear that we carry around. And ladies, if you weren't aware of that, it's real. And it affects our mood more than you could even imagine. And we're going to talk a little bit about what this looks like in the context of Psalm 139. So if you have a Bible, I want you to turn there. We're going to be in Psalm 139 the entire series. So we're going to spend some time in this one chapter of Scripture. If you don't have a Bible, we're going to put these verses on the screen for you. If you have a smartphone or a tablet or something like that, I encourage you to download the YouVersion app. It's a free app. You can have any kind of translation of Bible you want to use on there. There's also some Bibles on these shelves if you want to just hop up and grab one of those. I encourage you to bring a Bible. I know this is a kind of a trend or a habit that we have fallen out of as a collective people, not just you guys, but all of us. I remember being like an 8-year-old and carrying a Bible like on a dolly because it was so big, because that's all it came, right? We all had Bibles, and I just encourage you, spend some time with the Bible, whether it's electronic or analog, I guess. We want you to use the Bible. The more time you spend in it, the more you'll give God an opportunity to reveal himself through it to you. So Psalm 139, we're going to walk through the first about 10 verses together. And this is, just so you know, this is David, King David, David and Goliath, David and Saul, David and Jonathan. This is this guy. He's singing these songs. We didn't have guys like Brogan back then. We were blessed today. We have screens and lyrics and all that kind of stuff. They would just sing these songs. They would write them down, and they would learn them together by hearing them sung. And David was one of the most prolific songwriters, psalm writers of his time. We have tons and tons of songs that he wrote, and this is one of them. But there's so much truth in here. And the thing about a designer, the thing that we're going to learn from this chapter of Scripture, is that when we think about a God who created us, he didn't just create us and then just like left us alone. He actually knows us. Look at what he says in verse 1 and 2. "O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar." Now that's a scary little piece right there at the end of verse 2. You discern my thoughts. That's a typo on my part. Should you say thoughts there? You discern my thoughts from afar. Like, it's bad enough that we fear people finding us out, but then to think that God knows our thoughts, like that's a whole nother level of crazy that I don't even need you guys to be involved in my life. If you knew what goes through this brain, you would not be here next Sunday. I promise. Like, all you got to do is spend some time in a car in traffic with me, and you're going to get to know the real Philip in a hurry. It's bad. I am mean. I'm a mean little man, y'all. And you know what? I can handle myself in a fight. I'm pretty strong. I was a pretty good wrestler in high school. But compared to the way I can destroy you with my words and my wit, it's crazy. Have you ever heard the term ready, fire, aim? That's how my words work. I don't ready, aim, fire. I ready, fire, aim. It's like you fire and you're like, where did I hit? Because I know I hit somebody. And it's bad. I mean, I can just destroy you with my words. And so the fact that God knows everything about me, all my motives, and then on top of that, he knows my thoughts, that's terrifying. I mean, for those of us who are married, do you think you'd still be married if she knew all your thoughts? Oh, yeah. Let's not talk about that, Philip. She's not here, okay? All right? It's bad. I mean, we're not even going to get to the like warm weather thoughts, right, fellas? I mean, wow. That's a whole other sermon series to discuss, right? When all of a sudden all the clothes disappear and everybody walking around half naked, I can't deal with that. That's a problem. I'm all about what do they call that thing in Islam? The burqa? Like, let's do that. That's going to help me a lot. I'll wear one too. You're not struggling with me, but hey, whatever. Maybe my beard is a stumbling block for you. I don't know. But the fact that God knows my thoughts is terrifying to me. So as men, we're afraid of being found out. As men, we're afraid that people might know what we're thinking. They might know the truth behind that. That's scary stuff. And whether you've ever admitted that, or even right now, some of you are like, man, Philip, you're a wimp, man. I can't believe you're such... Listen, there is a scenario. There is a situation. There's a group of people. There is a setting where each and every one of us, fellas, face these very real fears. But look what he says. He continues to say in verse 3. You search out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it all together. There's a fear that we carry around, guys, and it's about decision making. You know, when you're the guy that's supposed to make that big, huge decision, like where you're going to live, or what job you're going to take, or what house you're going to buy, or what school our kids are going to go to, what school you're going to go to. Like, there's like, am I making the right decision? Even after you sign a piece of paper, you're like, oh, right? Dry heaving, where nobody else can see you. And maybe this is you. When we talk about words, we talk about the way we speak, like you're afraid if you don't say the right thing. Have you ever had one of those days where you get the text from your wife and you're like, maybe I'll just sleep in the car. I'm good. I don't need to go into that house, into that bomb, right? Because you know, like if you say the wrong little word, like boom, everybody's dead. And mommy ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. and all you said was, kinda. That wrong? No, don't say kinda. It's either silence or, I love you, baby. You look beautiful today. I haven't showered. You're the most beautiful unshowered woman I've ever seen. Right? There's a fear that making these decisions, or am I going to say the right thing? Or maybe it's a work situation for you where you're the person put in the spotlight and you've got to say the right thing, or you've got to make that pitch. How comforting is it to know that even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. You're acquainted with all my ways. You see, you and I, guys, we're not meant to do this thing alone. We're not meant to do this whole life thing alone. We're not supposed to become a man on our own. We have a small group that we did back in January. We're planning to do it again sometime soon. Not having a building of our own causes a bit of a problem for this, but it's called 7. And this is a 7-week small group for men. And what we do is we discuss a question a week. We're going to put this, there it is. A question a week. And they're very, very simple questions. But we believe there are 7 questions that rattle in the minds of most men. And whether you're as young as a middle school kid or as old as a grandfather, we all deal with this stuff. At different stages of our life, we have different answers to these questions. But these questions are common to each and every one of us. And I'm just going to rattle through them real quick. Okay? The first question is, where am I? Where am I in life? What have I been doing to lead me to this point of my life? From where have I come? We talk about our family of origin, how our dads or our moms or our family members or where we grew up kind of led us to be or influenced us to be the kind of person we are today, the man that we are today. Who am I? What am I? What am I doing? Like, who am I at night in the dark by myself? Who am I? Why am I here? What's the point of my life? What am I supposed to be doing with the few hours, a few years I have on planet Earth? Where am I going? Am I going towards something? Am I building my life towards something? Am I using these months and years for a purpose to end up somewhere? And what about women? Whew. We could do the whole 7 weeks on that one, couldn't we? What about women? How do we handle women? Do we respect them? All those kind of things. And then who can I trust? And I believe that number 7 there is one of the most important questions that we cover in that study. Who can I trust? Because as men, we're kind of conditioned to the idea that we can't trust anybody. Don't trust anybody, son. You're your own man. Because at some point maybe you had a situation where you said something, you entrusted some piece of information to somebody and it came around to bite you in the butt. And at that point you decided, not again. Or maybe you're going through something or you're suffering through something and you trusted somebody with that information and they didn't handle it well and it left you with a pretty hurt feeling or pretty sour taste in your mouth and you're like, never again. We have conditioned ourselves, especially in America, that we can't trust each other, that we're supposed to do it on our own. We celebrate the Lone Ranger, right? When if you really think about it, the Lone Ranger wasn't even lone. He had a partner. Y'all remember? Tonto? I guess he didn't count because he couldn't vote yet or something, right? So he had the Lone Ranger. But even if you don't even count Tonto, he had a horse. The Lone Ranger ain't doing a whole lot of crime fighting if he's got to walk where he's going, right? So we celebrate this idea, and we've conditioned ourselves to this idea that we got to do it on our own. I'm a man. I can handle it on my own. I can deal with my emotions. I don't need anybody. The truth is, you were designed to do life together. You weren't designed to do it alone. Because you know this as well as I know this about me. I can't do it on my own. Because at some point, I'm going to be too tired to do it on my own. I'm not going to be smart enough to do it on my own. I'm going to be too scared to do it on my own. Not a single one of us is strong enough, smart enough to do it on our own. Because you weren't designed that way. But look what verse 5 says. You hem me in, behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. This should be an eye-opening truth to you. That not only are you not supposed to do it on your own, but you are not alone. God's hand is on you. Maybe you've never thought about it that way. And maybe you don't even believe in God yet. But there is a designer, and he's got his hand on you. Have you ever seen a kid make something out of Legos, like for the first time? Like they made, not just like a tower. I made a tower. No. Not that kid. Okay. I'm talking like really made something. Maybe the first time, maybe you maybe you were rich when you were a kid and you had the Millennium Falcon Lego thing. I always wanted one of those. We always got like the Dune buggy. That was all we could afford. But maybe you've seen the kid who makes a Lego thing for the first time. Does that kid ever go like, "Hey, I finished it"? Boom. No. Like, if that kid makes something and any other child enters the room that something is in, they freak out. "Don't touch my Legos!" Right? Don't even look at it. You're going to look at it, it's going to fall apart. If that's the way that kid, that designer feels about that silly little piece of Lego, how much more does the great, eternal, omniscient, omnipotent God designer feel about you? You are his masterpiece. Sure, we were the first draft, but we're his masterpiece. He made you in his image. He made you to be in community with him and each other. His hand is on you. What might it look like? What would tomorrow look like? How would you love? How would you lead? How would you work? How would you parent? How would you give? How would you serve differently? If you lived each moment in the confidence that God's hand was on you. But what is it that stops us from doing that? What is it that stops us from living that kind of life? Most of us feel like we've disqualified ourselves from God's hand, don't we? For whatever that thought was, or whatever that action was, or whatever sin we're dealing with, or whatever level of unbelief we're at. We feel like we've disqualified ourselves from the privilege of knowing God and the honor of having his hand on us. We think we've gone too far. Look what the passage says in verse 7. Where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. Sheol is the afterlife, or this is before Jesus came. This is where everyone went. Either unrighteous went into one section and the righteous went to another. Sheol is that whole section. We'll talk more about that later maybe. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me. Gentlemen, listen. There's nothing you've ever done. There's nothing you will ever do. No thought that is so dark that takes you out of the loving reach, the hand of God. You're afraid of being found out. You're afraid of being exposed. Well, you already are. And God chooses to put his hand on you anyway. I struggle with this. This is not easy for me to take because as opposed to what you might think, growing up, being shorter and covered in zits, I wasn't the most popular kid in school. And I kind of conditioned myself to think that I've got to figure it out on my own. And when you're on your own, you start to think that you're the only person dealing with different things. You start to think that you're the only person around that struggles with self-image, the only person around that struggles with pornography, the only person that struggles with profanity, the only person that struggles with substance abuse. You're the only person that struggles with relationships. And that's the danger of being alone. And that is how we've conditioned ourselves, gentlemen. Thinking we can do it on our own has not helped us. It's actually put us in more danger. So, if all of this is true, that no matter where I go and no matter what I've done, no matter what I think, that my designer has his hand on me, what should my life look like? That's a big, heavy question, right? And we're not going to answer it, because this is all I want you to do. Today, tomorrow, in the next few days, whatever it is that you're facing, whatever situation you find yourself in, whatever the circumstances, whatever insurmountable odds that are ahead of you, I want you to think one thought. Remind yourself of one single truth. God's hand is on me. Whatever it is, job in jeopardy, faced with temptation, marriage isn't where you want it to be, marriage doesn't seem to be on the horizon, class isn't going well, God's hand is on me. If you and I, gentlemen, if we start living in that truth, and we start to remind ourselves that our designer, our God, our creator, his hand is on us, we will find confidence, we will find forgiveness, we will find a peace that we've never before experienced or even believed was possible. So here's how we're going to help you remember this. I know I say I want you to do a lot of things. We want you to give, we want you to serve, and we want you to do this, we want you to invite your friends. But gentlemen, I want you to be in community. I want you to get in a small group. We're trying our best to provide an opportunity for you to do that. It's hard getting everything organized, but you're not meant to do this alone. And the quicker that you can get in community with other guys, the quicker that you can get in community maybe with your wife and other couples, the sooner you're going to start to realize that's much easier to do this together than alone. We're going to sing a song here in just a second. We're going to sing a song and you're just going to listen. And it's our hope that you'll hear this song on the radio, because it's not one of ours originally. But you've probably heard this song, and maybe hopefully you'll hear it again, and this will be a reminder to you. Not that you're strong enough, not that you're emotionally mature enough, but whatever you're going through, that God's hand is on you. And that's all that matters right now. So the band's going to come up, I'm going to pray, we're going to sing a song, and then I'm going to give you a couple of things as we dismiss. But I hope you hear my heart. I hope you're praying for me that I'll remember this truth as well. Let's pray.